Hi, this is Nate Davis with Footballer Training and the author of the book Footballer. This is a tutorial about team defending. The team in the dark jerseys is going to lose the ball, and then we will discuss how they should transition in order to defend quickly. One of the player points from the book Footballer is transition fast, or you could say defense begins with a sprint. So let's turn the ball over to the team with the white jerseys. First thing to do is all of these players need to find marks, and they need to mark first goal side. So the white team is going this way. So this player has positioned himself goal side, but he's also positioned himself ball side. So the ball's here, he's goal side, ball side. This player can run to this mark, and this player can run to double team the player with the ball. Now the first player we call the marking player here, he's marking the ball. The second player we call the support defender, and he's a little bit behind the marking defender. And as this player puts on pressure against the ball, often what happens is the white team player here with the ball will take a little bit too big of a touch, and then this player can easily pick up the ball. So that's why we have a marking defender and a support defender. Now obviously this is not going to be a static situation. This team is not going to stay down here. They want to move the ball over this way. Perhaps what we'll do, this player will make a run here. This player will try to catch up, and the ball will be passed here. Now we need to do some switching. This player is going to try to get on the goal side of the ball, and this player is going to run to become a support defender. These players are going to move down the field quickly, and they're going to stay with their marks the whole way as they move down the field. Now, one of the most important things about defending is that when this player has the ball and he looks up to pass, this team wants to provide as few passing outlets as possible. I've mentioned the marking player and the support defender, and then on these other players we are marking so that each player has his or her own defender who's traveling with them down the field. Then behind the ball here we have two forwards, and these two forwards have become balanced defenders. And basically balanced defenders guard more than one player. So they've stepped forward so that they can try to cut off a back pass to either this player or a pass to this player. Or this one has stepped forward to try to mark both of these players, so if the ball comes back this way or back this way, this player is positioned well in order to try to stop that back pass. So we have the marking player, we have these marking players off the ball, we have a support defender so that the ball is double teamed, and then we have balanced defenders here who are marking more than one player. So these balanced defenders are crucial for two reasons. One is that if these players do not mark multiple players, then the ball cannot be double teamed. So what they do is they allow the team to put extra pressure on the ball with the double team by covering more than one player. The other important thing that these balanced players do is that if they aren't there, perhaps they're here waiting for the ball to be stolen again, and so therefore there's an easy passing outlet right here, is they make these players' effort mostly wasted. So if this player can easily turn around and pass back this way, then these players aren't really doing much because the team with the white jerseys can easily maintain possession simply by passing the ball back. So these balance players are very, very important on defense. And so we'll leave them there, and we'll see as the ball moves how we have different balance players on different parts of the field in order to compress around the ball. So far, the player points that we've talked about in defending are transition fast, which means sprint to your mark right away, mark the ball, mark all players within passing distance of the ball, and then a support defender to double team the player who's marking the ball. The team in the white jerseys is able to pass the ball over here on the wing. And when that happens, that means everybody on the dark jersey team needs to shift. And so this player needs to step to the ball right here. Now he does not yet have a support defender, so that means he has to do what we call delaying. This player is not going to put the same amount of pressure on that he normally would if he had a support defender. He's going to try to slow this player down, which means instead of being, say, an arm's length away from the ball, he's going to drop back just a little bit so that this player hopefully slows down and doesn't move the ball downfield too quickly. And let me explain why that's important. If this player steps up and he's beat and he does not have a support defender, then this player is on the way to the goal with no one guarding. This player will put on a little less pressure in order to make sure he can stay goal side. As the team in the black jerseys adjusts to the ball being here on the wing, then support defenders can come into place. So here now the player has a support defender. And this is all done when someone has to go to mark, and it should always be the person closest to the ball who goes to mark the ball regardless of position. That means the entire team has to shift. See, we still have this double team left here, and so that player is going to need to move in order to help out with all of the marking. I've moved all the players around to good defensive positions in the situation where the ball came to the wing at this point. So we have two defenders who are pressing the ball and then also supporting, so they're double teaming the player with the ball. We have this player marked and we have this player marked. Now marking is about an arm's length away, so this is not marking here, because if this player is able to see that this player is this open, the ball can be passed to them. In a marking situation, what you want to do is make it so that if this player looks up, they do not have that passing outlet. And this player is marked here, this player is marked here. This player is a forward and is basically marking this defender for the pass back here. And he's also a little bit toward the inside so that perhaps if there's a bad pass back to the goalie, he could stop that pass. This player here is balanced defending these two so that if this player looks to pass back, he's got someone in the way stopping the pass this way. This player here is balanced defending between these two here. And this player is triple teaming basically the ball, and he's going to make himself available if the ball is able to get to this player to be able to become a support defender. You can see then how these balanced defenders make it possible for these three to put so much pressure on the ball. But I want to consider, if they don't end up stealing the ball here, what's the next setup that the dark jersey team might use. In this case, we're going to imagine the ball has traveled here to this player, and now the dark jersey team has to react. And the first thing that would happen is this player here would need to realize he needs to become a support defender. This player here is going to step up and guard this player goal side. Now this player is free to come in and potentially triple team here. And if you notice here, there was a balanced defender on this side, this player here, and he was balanced defending between these two. And once the ball came to the middle, he needed to mark this player here. Now this player is no longer marking one person. He is now balanced defending these two, and this player is balanced defending these two, allowing the pressure on the ball here. So next we're going to have this player make a run this way, and this defender marks him well, so this player doesn't see a passing outlet. But this player makes a run here, and the ball is able to travel this way. I want to imagine for a minute that this defender here fell down, and so this player was really wide open. And what we have to think about is how to get two players to defend the ball here without leaving anyone else unmarked. So the player closest to the ball is going to go to the ball, which means this person who was marking the ball is closest. Now this person's closer but is also laying on the ground. So this person is going to run to the ball because he's the closest to the ball. This player is going to get up and he's going to quickly become the balanced defender, and this player is available to become a third defender if this player marks here. So you can see how the person closest to the ball went to the ball, and then other players needed to quickly shift to make sure that there was a support defender and that no defender or no opponent was left open to receive the pass. Now with the ball here, these support defenders are going to need to change their position just a little bit, because this player's angle of passing to either one of these is different than it was when the ball was positioned over here. So these players are constantly looking behind their shoulder to see where these players are and trying to position themselves so that if the pass comes back, there's a chance that they could get a foot on the ball as it comes back. But again, a lot of defending is not stealing the ball. A lot of defending is communicating to the ball handler that there's nobody to pass to. When this player looks up and this player's marked, 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 and these four players are being balanced defended, it's frustrating, and it causes them to make hasty, bad passes. And that's when opportunity comes to steal the ball. I've rotated all the defensive players because I want to mention how important it is that players stand sideways on. And sideways on means that you're either looking at this touch line or this touch line. Defensive players should be looking toward the touch line because that allows them to run either this way quickly or this way quickly. When a defensive player is rotated with his back to the goal, in order to chase this player, if, for example, the ball goes over here, this defensive player has to turn 180 degrees before he can run. If, on the other hand, he's sideways on, like this, then he simply can step in the right direction immediately. So sideways on for defense and for offensive positions is very helpful. I want to talk for a minute about what happens in this case where an opponent is wide open, unmarked, and what do these players do? And it's very important that all players, when defending, are constantly looking. Even this player who already has his mark might feel like he does not need to look around to see if there's anybody open around him because he already has his mark. But that actually is not true. All these players should consistently be looking to see who's behind him, who might be coming behind them. Like, for example, this player might see a run that this player is making. and he might be able to step up and cut off that pass. But of course, he'll never see that run if he isn't looking behind him to see what's coming. So this player then sees this player wide open. This player needs to start screaming and yelling to try to get someone to mark this player so that there are no players unmarked. Here's another example. The ball's moved further down the field, and this player doesn't have anybody to mark. This player's marking here, this player's marking here, this player's marked. Very important rule is that no players in or near the box are ever unmarked. And so this player is thinking about who he would be the secondary defender to. So he's looking this way, he's looking this way, he's looking this way, and he's seeing all four of these attacking players, and he's thinking, if any of them get the ball, I'm going to move quickly and become the support defender. So if somehow the ball comes over on this side, the person closest to the ball is going to go to the ball. He's going to look. This person becomes the support. This person marks this player. Or if this person does not move and stays with his mark, then this player can come be the support defender. If the ball comes to this side, then this forward here is going to need to move over to try to stop the pass back this way or back this way. This player is also going to need to shift to try to stop the pass back. If this forward or this defender comes up to be part of the offensive play, then that player is going to need a mark, and this player is going to bounce defend over this way. So hopefully you're seeing that when the ball is passed around, players need to think about which player to mark and who should become the support defender and which players should be balanced defending. And if you're asking those three questions all the time, it's going to be very, very difficult for the other team to maintain possession, because every time a player looks up, there's someone marked or balanced defending. And it becomes very difficult when you're double teamed to move the ball and maintain possession. So that is the player points transition fast, mark the player with the ball, with a support defender, mark all players near the ball, and balance defend the rest of the players. The most common mistakes I see in the defending strategy is that defenders sometimes will simply play a zonal defense, and they'll try to keep a line, all four of them here. And what happens is when this player's unmarked, it just becomes easier to get the ball to anybody. This player may step back too, and then look, all of a sudden they're open because these players are playing a zone instead of marking man-to-man. And it isn't that the players don't play in a zone, but what it is that the players mark within their zone, and then when players leave their area, they have to shift in order to make sure that everyone is marked. The other problem that I commonly see is the forwards will simply wait for their team to steal the ball so that they can try to chase after a long through ball. And that leaves the passes back to defenders almost always open, which allows the players here to make runs and to almost always be open as well. So if these players check out and don't play defense, and if the defenders simply play zone and defend only when people come in their area, then it becomes very easy for the other team to pass the ball around, to maintain possession, and to look for that shooting advantage. So as a team, the way you want to try to steal the ball is by stealing the ball in the pass. For example, if the ball's here and we have a marking defender here and a support defender here, instead of this marking defender stepping in and trying to touch the ball away, what this marking defender is doing is trying to get the dribbler to look down at the ball so that his opportunities to look up are very limited. And when he does look up, see, he sees that every player has a mark. And so he's frustrated trying to figure out where, if this player steps in and misses, now he's got opportunity to look up and pass the ball. So the goal then for the most effective defense is to steal the ball in the pass. Now players away from the ball should always be looking over their shoulder to make sure there's no defenders open, but they can also look at the dribbler's eyes. And when that dribbler looks up, he's probably going to look at where he wants to pass the ball. So he's got a lot of pressure here. He looks up and he sees this situation right here. And then this defender can know the pass is probably coming to my player. So as the ball travels, then this player aggressively jumps in, tries to get his or her body in front of the ball, and then steals the ball. If he fails to steal the ball, then he's going to have an opportunity to get goal side again, because it's going to take a little while for this player to get the ball under control. So that's why the best opportunities are stealing the ball in the pass. And the best defense is not stepping in after the ball, but trying to put enough pressure on the dribbler so that he is unable to look around and make a reliable pass. So now the ball's come over to this position. So this player is going to become the support defender on the ball. This person is going to mark here. This player is going to try to get the dribbler to look down. Now, if the dribbler makes a mistake with touching the ball, then this player should jump in and try to steal it. But as long as the dribbler is dribbling effectively, simply staying goal side and putting enough pressure on to get this player to look down is sufficient. One of the player points, in addition to get the dribbler to look down, is to jump in when the dribbler makes a mistake, but only when the dribbler makes a mistake. Otherwise, the player point is steal the ball in the pass. Now, defending in this situation is going to take a lot of effort. And in fact, we say that defending requires the same effort as sprinting. This defender is going to need to be in a very athletic position, ready to run in any direction, and is going to need to be about an arm's length away from the ball in order to defend this player well. And so this takes a very high level of energy. Now, this player isn't expending a lot of energy, and this players here are not expending a lot of energy. But this player especially is really working hard. If he's not working hard, like the effort that it takes to sprint, then he's not putting enough pressure on the ball, and he's not making enough effort to stay goal side. So if this player cuts this direction, the player marking needs to instantly be able to be between the ball and the goal. And that's the kind of work that's required to stay goal side. So whenever the ball comes to the player you're defending, your ability and effort to stay goal side has to be so intense that you're willing to exhaust yourself in order to stay goal side. Now, the ball's been passed, so these players need to shift in order to get to new marks or to become the support defender. If this player who's marking the ball does try to tackle and gets beat, then the same kind of effort that was required to defend is required to get back to defending. So this player should sprint to become the support defender. Today I've covered player points mostly from chapter 8 in the book Footballer, but a few from chapter 9. But there are also 2 other chapters on defending in the book Footballer. One of them is defending the cross, and the other one is defending the long through ball. So if you take what you've learned here today and go to the book Footballer, read through those 4 chapters and add the things to them to what we were talking about here today, then you'll be well on your way to doing a fantastic job of defending a team and making it very, very difficult for the other team to maintain possession. I'm Nate Davis with Footballer Training and the author of the book Footballer.